Excellent. So how are you, my friend?
Very good, very good.
Great to speak to you, man. Hell yeah.
What's going on in the land of Venom right now? I see, you got a new album coming out very soon.
Yeah. What we've done is we put the new lineup together, and we sort of, went out and sort of did as many shows as we could. We did the South American tour, and last year we hit a lot of the festivals in Europe, and that was really concentrating on the band as a band, not thinking about making albums and all that. It was really about gelling as a unit. And I'm so happy with the way things are now, because this is probably the closest I've ever been to like what the original band was like. It's all about the music. It's all about it's all about Venom. Which to me is fucking great. Even once we started sort of getting out on the road, the ideas just seemed to start flowing straight away. Nobody said, hey, let's write some new songs. It was like, hey, what do you think of this riff? Hey, what do you think of this beat? Hey, what do you think of this? And the songs kind of just started to emerge. All the band members contributing to the songs. It wasn't the usual scenario of me coming in and saying, right, this is how it goes, and there's the stops. And it wasn't like that at all. It was very much like the way the band was in the early days, when the ideas just emerged spontaneously, which is fucking great, because then you've got a band who really enjoy the songs that they created. They're not just playing your riff. They're not just playing your ideas. They're playing their ideas, which makes for a fucking much better album at the end of the day. And for Dante and Rage to be able to sort of bring ideas to the table, they were blown away that I was like, hey, that's a great idea. They were like, is it? Because, they've never been in a situation like this before, where they've been able to sort of freely come up with ideas that can be worked on for a fucking, a band on a major label, the recording process has been fantastic, and I truly believe we have a fucking killer album here.
And one other good thing is you guys are on a major label, which is good to see.
Yeah, it's good to have that backing, and the confidence is, the thing for me is, I've seen over the years how, I don't know, there's been like a lot of the kind of independents struggling to survive, and, I think, why do these like majors just try to concentrate on the like the kind of mega artists, the Beyoncés, the Elton Johns, what's the matter with it? The labels supporting the homegrown bands, whether you're in the States or whether you're in England or whether you're in fucking Australia or Canada, the labels there should be concentrating on what grows out of their soil, and putting the belief back into it. Rock music, for fuck's sake, is such a long-running genre of music that, you kind of think, like, you could get, like, a kind of family with a label, and get in with an understanding. It's, this music survives. This music will always be here. It's not fickle pop music where you release one song and then disappear. This is the music where the fans stay with you forever. You don't get less fans in rock music. You get more fans, because as the next generation of kids grow up and get into the music, you still retain the fans that you had, plus you've got the new guys, So, I think it's great now to have a label like Universal have the confidence, in the band as it is, and be able to get behind it. It's fantastic.
Let's say, Cronos, and the legacy of Venom in, let's say, 100 years from now, where do you see it going?
Yeah, well, forever continuing. This is one of the things, once Venom started to be taken seriously in the early 80s, I was very much vocal of how the ideas for this can be forever. Picking on, that whole sort of theme, the devil has the best tunes and all that sort of thing. And, the subject matter alone is endless.
Right.
The things you can sort of sing about and the themes, this isn't, again, here's another dig at the kind of fickle pop music, but, that's the kind of fall in love, fall out of love, and that's the end of the subject matter. Whereas with us, we could literally sing about anything that's interesting, which is what makes rock music so brilliant, there's so many bands. I mean, look at the other bands of the 70s, like Rush and bands like that, singing about fucking intergalactic star systems, for fuck's sake, Cygnus X1 and shit, I mean, that is what makes rock music so, I don't know, so rich, is, the varied amount of subject matter. For the new album, the angle I've taken with this is sort of taking that whole, thing that Venom do with the Satanism and witchcraft and everything. I've taken it into a whole new area, concentrating mainly, hence the title Fallen Angels, and it is really all about that kind of, Lucifer being rejected from heaven and the kind of beginnings of hell, but concentrating more in depth, looking at kind of God's sins, how, God could be quite a fucking petulant child, getting angry with his children for disobeying him and all that sort of shit, and I just think, basing the kind of album theme on that, there's other songs on the album, like, which go into that in more depth, about the descent of Lucifer and the angels that followed him, and, the tortures and all the hell that they went through and everything. We've been looking into, for the actual album artwork, I know when we were first doing Welcome to Hell, we were looking at some artwork pieces by people like Boris and stuff like that, and, we decided, no, we'll come up with our own emblems and our own designs and that. But for this one, I've been looking at some of the artwork by Gustav Dorr about the whole sort of Paradise Lost, Fallen Angels thing, and so we are just currently looking into what the usage rights would be on that, because it seems perfect. Because we've chose this as a subject matter for the album, it would be perfect to be able to integrate that artwork, obviously fully recognizing that it's Gustav Dorr's artwork and everything, but I just think it would be an excellent complement to the subject matter of the album, Amazing artist. Other bands who have used some of his work in the past, but we kind of want to use this as the main theme of the album, so...
Another thing too, Cronos, let's say the last release, Hell, would you compare it at all like this album, Hell, with Fallen Angels?
I would say, yeah, it's a progression from Hell. This is the whole, taking Venom into the 21st century, so we are not seen as a band that are just constantly trying to relive 1984. This is a band that progresses every year, and Hell was perfect for 2008, the same as Metal Black was perfect for 2006. This is now perfect for 2011. It's a progression for Venom to actually pump new ideas into the black metal theme, not just sitting on tracks like Warhead or Bloodlust or Witchknow. This is actually coming up with more of that, but new, fresh. So it's not just Venom churning out the same ideas. This is actually Venom progressing, We've always been amazed at how, like when the likes of the Metallicas came out, there was so many bands who came out who sounded like Metallica, and, the same as the Slayers and this and the other. But there's been thousands of bands who've cited Venom as an influence. There's never been a second Venom, and I think it's really... interesting to look at the fact that how when people look at death metal, thrash metal, speed metal, and they actually put it into each of those sections, Venom are kind of the only band who do all of that. We have thrash metal songs, we have death metal songs, we have speed metal songs, and it's the whole lot that makes black metal, not just one type of music. But there's been no other band who came out and really encapsulated that the way Venom have. So it's great to be able to take what we've done and progress it again and again and again, pushing the boundaries of how far the music can go. I think it's really special as well, that the two new guys who are in the band, because they've got such a massive respect for what Venom originally started out with. You know, they have a massive respect for the original members of the band, and they've got a really like powerful like understanding of what those guys were trying to achieve back then as well. I mean, forever in my brains, you know, what was this? What was that? What was this? Because what they're trying to do is recreate the classics in a way they were meant to be. You know, I mean, Dante, you know, the new drummer, I mean, he's so versatile. And he's quite possibly the first drummer I've worked with, Abaddon, who comes from a background. You know, so he's a rock drummer who's developed metal with style. Whereas a lot of the other drummers, like the drummer we had on Hell and Metal Back, he is essentially a new metal drummer who has been influenced by Pantera and Slipknot and bands like that.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Dante, as is with Abaddon, were influenced by Zeppelin, Purple, you know, bands like that. So, you know, he's got an understanding of what Abaddon was trying to achieve. And, you know, for all Abaddon has been knocked in the past for, you know, his bad timekeeping and this, that, and the other, he did actually invent some awesome styles of drumming. And for all that he couldn't play them as well as he maybe intended to play them, it still doesn't take away from the fact that he actually changed drumming. He actually changed the way drummers approach the kit. And it's great to see how Dante can actually take what Abaddon was trying to do and actually get it, like, really nailing the fucker. So that it's, like, precise, because it makes the music so much fucking heavier. But, you know, exactly the same with Rage. You know, he's sitting there, he's watching videos, and he's picking out all the bits of Mantis's fingers, and, you know, all right, he does that there, and he does that there. So he can actually take those songs live. You know, when kids come to see the band live and they hear Bloodlust, they are fucking hearing Bloodlust. You know, this isn't just like some band doing Bloodlust. I mean, you will know there's been thousands of bands who've recorded Venom songs. You know,
mm-hmm.
And for me, the better ones are the bands who do it in their own style, because the ones who try to copy Venom, I think they fail. And it's great to be able to play those fucking songs live as if it was 1983, as if it was 1985, you know, and then see the way that these guys approach the new album and the new songs, putting their own stamp on it, but keeping the kind of intringent black metal like essence in the riffs, in the beats, in the music, you know. So it keeps it raw, it keeps it ferocious, you know. I think it's fucking great. You know, you get so many musicians who kind of look down their nose at other musicians. Oh, you know, they're not going to do that. I haven't got that at all in this band. There's a total respect for what went down, and I'm so glad of that, because, you know, I'm so proud of what I did, you know, back in the 80s and then into the 90s and everything, that, you know, I fucking hate it when people diss it, you know. Because, I mean, it meant something, and all that we were trying to do was keep fucking rock music alive at a time when everybody was saying it was dead. But it can't die. Rock will never die.
When you wake up in the morning, I'm sure you're very, you know, honored, you know, to have been this blessed with this type of, you know, success and, you know, fame. Because, I mean, everybody that, you know, is, let's say, in their 40s, 30s, have heard Venom at one time or another, you know.
Yeah, it's so cool.
And, you know, you are that.
So cool. You know, when I was leaving school and people saying, you know, what are you going to do? And I'm saying, I'm going to be in a band. What kind of music are you going to play? I'm going to play rock music. What do you want to do that for? That's fucking dead. You know, that's all we heard in the early 80s. Well, say the back end of the 1979, you know, 80s. Oh, that music's dead. That music's dead. Now, okay, you know, we did change it somewhat. You know, we put a bit of punk back into the music, you know, made it a bit more raw, a bit more ferocious, you know, got a bit more sort of, you know, over the top with the lyrics and, you know, the image and this, that, and the other. But that's the music I grew up with, you know. I grew up with bands who had their own identity, you know, whether it was Jethro Tull or even Zeppelin, or, you know, whether it was T-Rex or fucking, you know, every band had their own identity, you know. Kiss, you know, fucking, you know, they came out and they had their own stamp, you know, and you had the frontmen up there, and they were fucking wild and they were fucking extreme, and, you know, I think nowadays, I think that's a little bit lost. I mean, I was just saying to a friend the other day, so some of the most extreme frontmen of 2011, I would say, are female. You know, the Pinks, you know, Pink, fucking Katy Perry, they seem more out there and in your face than some of the guys in some of the most extreme metal bands. It's like, where are the Ozzy Osbournes? Where are the fucking Alice Coopers? Where's the Lemmys? Where are these people? Where's all the new guys?
Where do you think they all went?
I do not know. It blows my mind. I think they turned into females. That's what I think. You look at somebody like Pink. I mean, come on. I mean, you don't have to like the music, which I actually do, as a matter of fact. I think she's so cool. She's fucking busting a nut up there. She is fucking going for it. And she's an insane front person. I think we're going to have to stop calling it frontman, we're going to have to say front person, being politically correct, But, I mean, fuck me. That chick fucking puts 110% in. And even if you look at the kind of Beyoncés and people like that, or the Katy Perrys and the people like that, you think, fucking hell, they're in your fucking face. But you see these new bands that are coming out, the metal bands, apart from the fact that most of these guys seem to look the same, there's no one striking figure. There's no one, the Ozzy Osbourne, the Alice Cooper, the Lemmy. It's strange. A loss as far as I'm concerned, because I think there's nothing better than a great frontman, fucking, especially at something like a festival or a concert or something, when they can totally control a crowd and you have a great experience. I mean, I know people have slated people like Dave Lee Roth and whatever, but to me, he was a fucking great frontman in those Van Halen days. He was entertaining. You went there, you had a fucking great time. Again, you didn't have to like the music, but you could see those guys were putting a show on, And that's what it's all about. That's what we all are here to do,
And it's very much like that. We're losing that, big arena frontman in this music industry.
Yeah. It's a massive loss. Massive.
What do you think of the internet itself? When you look at the internet, what do you see?
I think it has been a very big help for a lot of bands who, in the olden days, were at the mercy of the label bosses as to whether or not they could survive. And the fact that some kid can now record in his basement or his bedroom, put himself a free website on the internet and just say, hey, everybody, I'm out here. I think it's amazing because, like it or lump it, and, regardless of whether people say, yeah, but there's a load of shit up there, whatever, there's also a lot of great stuff up there as well. And there isn't some, suit in a fucking ivory tower office, waving his finger saying, oh, you're rubbish, you kid. Let the masses decide. I think the same as with the kind of gig reviews and album reviews. I think, the days of people picking up that local, whether it was a Kerrang or a Sounds or a Classic Rock, and, oh, this reporter says this about this new Ozzy album, oh, I'll not buy it then. That's gone, same as the gig reviews. Gig reviews now are on YouTube. Kids will record a song or two on their phone, stick it on YouTube. Fucking hell, I had the time of my life. It was amazing. Fucking, I was right at the front. Yeah, there's your review. Because just one kid saying that at one of my shows makes me feel totally justified. And no matter how hassle it was to put that show on, it was all worth it because that one kid loved it. And that one kid's now got a couple of fucking videos on his phone that he's going to cherish forever. And to me, that makes it 1,000% worth it. And the same as when you get, the kids putting the stuff up on the net about, hey, I bought the new fucking Venom album, and hey, it's a fucking brilliant track on there. And he puts a little vid up on YouTube or on his little other sites, the VO sites, and there's so many, the Twitters and all this. Again, it's all worth it. If you can get to somebody like that and please them so that they're over the moon happy, that's it. That's job done. It doesn't need some fucking arrogant reporter sitting there typing in his magazine saying, oh, this album's a load of shit. Like, those guys are now dinosaurs and they're now in the history books because I think that is where the internet has been brilliant for a lot of bands. Even as well, for bands to be able to get on there and tell the truth about a lot of things as well. When shit starts getting spun and all the rest of it. people can actually go up there and air their views and put records straight and everything. So I think it makes it a lot more personable between the bands and the fans, where, long gone are the days where the music business was a mystery. Now pretty much everybody's savvy about how it all works. We can all see how plastic and brittle things like X Factor are, and it's rubbish. Kids know that bands bust a nut, getting out there, getting their albums made, getting on the road, and it just makes for a better relationship, I think, between the band and the fans. But I think for all the right reasons, the internet has been brilliant. I don't think we'd ever be able to invent anything that was hassle-free. Bicycles, you can fall off them and break your neck. So, anything's got its fucking downside. But I think ultimately it's an 80% plus on, as far as I'm concerned. I think it's been excellent for music. And the other thing I'll just say quickly, for me, years ago when we were talking about, bootlegs and stuff and trying to get things sorted out in faraway lands, South America and this and the other. I mean, I used to always say, I believe that, some kid who's in New York or London or whatever, who's got $10 handy and can go and buy an album, he really needs to go and buy the album. But, some kid sitting in a village in Africa, I would give him my album for free.
Mm-hmm.
He's more concerned about where his next meal's coming from. He shouldn't have to purchase the music, but at the same time, I think he should be able to access it. I don't think it should be denied him just because he can't afford it. I think music's for everybody. And that's where, things like what you're doing at your radio station and everything, I think are invaluable to, because, some kid in the village could probably knock up even an old wireless system with some bits he's found on a scrapyard and get some music, which is a pleasure to all, And for me, I think that's a fucking amazing thing. Absolutely amazing.
It's very well said. The people that don't have access, and they should have it. Absolutely.
Yeah, it shouldn't be a privilege in that respect. It should be a right. It should be a right. It should just be, it should just be there. They shouldn't have to fucking ask, But no, I've said it for about sort of the way radio systems work and radio stations, and I think now because of the whole satellite thing and everything, you can get anything anywhere.
Yeah.
Because if sat-nav works everywhere, well then that's it. It's all everywhere now, so that's amazing. We get correspondences from the back of beyond. We get emails and even letters sometimes from places where you think, where the fuck is that? And it's amazing that people have heard of you in these far, far away places,
Could it be that it takes so much time, to get, that album from the 80s to get to them? And it's new to them?
Yeah. I mean, this is why, when we sort of, looked at that whole South American tour, it was like, we went to Brazil at the back end of the 80s, and it was a proper nightmare because, the country was in trouble in its own issues. The last thing it needed was some fucking rock band going over there. But it's amazing, what was it, like 21 years later, to go back and see how much the country's developed and how now there is kids with what you call disposable income who can say, I can either go to the pictures, the movies, I can either go and see a rock band, or I can go and buy a new pair of shoes, They've actually got that cash to burn, or I'll put some petrol in the car and go out for a drive,
Mm-hmm.
So it's amazing now to see how the country's developed, and even passing through the borders where, it's not just like, the security guards like we have. They've got cops and army guys and dogs and guns and, and they were so pleasant. And so happy to see we're coming through customs and we're taking photos of these guys and everything. It was a fantastic experience, and I think they are so happy as a country as well. Speaking to the kids in Chile and Colombia and that as well, how their governments have kind of backed off and they're now not this kind of heavy dictatorship, And there was one guy in Chile, honestly, had us moved like never before. I mean, this guy was in tears. He was my age, you know. He was in the back end of his 40s, and he was in tears. He was down on his knees, holding my hand. Snuff there, just saying how, speaking to the guys in South America, they just were so blown away that we'd actually wanted to go there, you know. You know, this is a pleasure. Yeah,